पिछले 5 साल में मेरे पढ़ाए हुए ऐसे 2 आईआईटीएन हैं और ऐसी एक एम्स की बच्ची है जिसने अपनी जान ली सेलेक्ट होने के बाद।
Even after cracking IIT, some students still end their lives. Yes, you heard that right. This wasn't said by some random person on the internet. This came from Alakh Pandey in a raw, uncomfortable, almost shocking conversation with Zakir Khan. And in that moment, something breaks. Because all our lives, we've been told one thing.
बस आईआईटी निकाल लो, लाइफ सेट है।
But what if that's a lie? Let's go back for a second. Think about your school days. You didn't remember every chapter, every formula, every exam, but you definitely remember two types of teachers, the ones you feared and the ones you loved. And strangely, the ones you loved taught you more than just subjects. They made you feel something. They made learning human. Now, imagine this. A teacher standing in front of a class, earning barely enough to survive, still carrying the responsibility of shaping hundreds of futures. And then one day, a student looks at him and says,
सर, आपने लाइफ में क्या उखाड़ा है?
that one sentence doesn't just question his success, it questions his existence. But instead of breaking, some people turn that pain into purpose. And that's exactly what Alakh Pandey did. Before becoming the face of India's biggest edtech revolution, he was just another teacher trying to survive. No big office, no $1 million funding, just a whiteboard, a camera, and a belief that something in the system was broken. Because education in India was becoming a luxury. 80,000 rupees, 1 lakh rupees for a single course. Ask yourself honestly, how many families can afford that? And that's where his thinking flipped. While others were asking, how can we charge more? He asked, how can we charge less? Not sexy, not viral, but powerful. Because when you lower the cost of education, you don't just gain customers, you change lives. And slowly, something crazy started happening. Millions of students started watching him, not because he was cheap, but because he was real, like Barl G. Simple, consistent, trusted. But here's where it gets deeper. We've always been told that education is a great equalizer, that anyone can succeed if they study hard enough. But is that really true? Or is education itself a gatekeeping system where only those who can afford it get ahead? Because the truth is, access has always been limited until the internet changed everything. For the first time, a kid sitting in a small village could learn from the same teacher as someone sitting in Delhi or Mumbai. No boundaries, no classrooms, just knowledge. And that shift is dangerous. Dangerous for outdated systems. But with freedom comes chaos. Online classes are not like classrooms. Students joke, they flirt, they cross limits. And yes, sometimes it looks like a mess. But what people don't see is the reality behind it. Teachers standing for 10, 12, even 15 hours a day, trying to hold attention in a world full of distractions. Because teaching today is not just teaching, it's performance, it's psychology, it's storytelling. Just like acting, you don't just explain a concept, you make people believe it. And maybe that's why the best teachers today are not the strictest ones. They're the most relatable ones. But now, let's talk about the real problem, the pressure. Because in India, education is not just about learning, it's about proving your worth to your parents, to your relatives, to society. And somewhere in between all these expectations, the child disappears. And here comes the most disturbing truth. Even success doesn't save you. Alakh Pandey revealed that students who had already cracked IIT, students who had already made it to AIMS, still chose to end their lives. Let that sink in. They reached the destination and still felt lost, which means the problem was never the exam. The problem was the pressure. Because when you're taught that your entire life depends on one result, you don't learn how to live without it. And here's something we don't say enough. Not every child is meant to become an engineer. Not every child is meant to become a doctor. And forcing them into that path doesn't create success. It creates damage. Because judging a fish by its ability to climb a tree will only make it feel useless, even though it was born to swim. But parents aren't villains. They're scared. They've seen struggle, they've seen poverty, and they don't want their children to go through the same pain. So they push and push and push until one day the child breaks. And sometimes, without realizing it, parents start living their own unfinished dreams through their children. And when the child fails, it feels like everything is falling apart. But here's the hope. This generation is different. They're not blindly following one path. They're exploring content creation, freelancing, startups, new careers that didn't even exist 10 years ago. And maybe, just maybe, they'll become better parents. Parents who understand that success is not one size fits all. Because, let's be honest, if you're happy, if you have people who love you, if you wake up without fear every day, isn't that success? Or do we still need a degree to prove it? There are thousands of people who never went to IIT, never became doctors, and yet they're living peaceful lives. They have families, they laugh, they enjoy small moments, and they're content. Because life is not a race that ends at 25. It's long, it's slow, and it's unpredictable. At 16, you think everything is over. At 26, you think it again. But the truth is, life doesn't even start properly until later. You don't measure success at 25. You measure it at 40, when reality hits and titles don't matter anymore. And somewhere, in a small town, there's a boy who doesn't even know what IIT is. He doesn't care about ranks. His dream? To drive a Volvo truck one day? And for him, that dream is everything. Because dreams are not universal, they're personal. So if you feel lost right now, if you feel behind, just remember this. You're not late, you're just on a different path. If this video made you question even one belief you've been carrying your whole life, then don't ignore that feeling, because sometimes one perspective shift can change everything. Subscribe to the Rewire Tales, where we don't just tell stories, we rewire the way you think. And trust me, this is just the beginning.